one of the turning points was a fellow named Mark Norman. Mark used to promote concerts in Victoria, and I met him the first time I met Stevie Ray Vaughan. That was his first show that he did on his own. He ended up taking over Periscope concerts in Vancouver. So I think when he was still with Periscope, we'd kind of been in touch, and we were selling out clubs like the Town Pump and things like that. So he said to me, "What do you think about playing the Commodore?" Well, that was daunting for a bunch of young guys. Commodore's a big room.
The Holy Grail at that time.
Absolutely. The fabulous Commodore Ballroom. But he said, I have an idea. He said, we'll get a couple local openers that are, that draw a little bit, and we'll call it a low-dose show or something, and we'll try it out on a Saturday night. And we actually sold out the Commodore Ballroom. And, we had a couple hot shots opening, like I say, but that was kind of the turning point. And I believe my dad had read some kind of an article about a man named Alan Gregg. And Alan, his kind of claim to fame was he had started a political polling company called Decima Research and was very successful with that. But he started getting into rock and roll management. So he teamed up with a guy named Jake Gold, and they had formed a company called the Management Trust. Well, their big client was a Tragically Hip. And they started signing other people. My dad, I think, wrote him a letter or something and said, my son's this great player, like one of these crazy dad things. So Alan actually came out to Vancouver, and I think I can't remember the first time I met him, but he came out for that Commodore show. So he just went, who's this? There's this bunch of kids playing a blues band selling out the Commodore Ballroom. So that's when things kind of took a pivot, and it kind of got serious. And it was strange because, we were just these young guys that were just used to going out on the road and playing blues bars and having fun and having a couple of drinks and talking to girls and stuff. And all of a sudden there's big highfalutin Toronto management coming into the thing, and next thing you know, they've set up a showcase. I think the Junos were in Vancouver that year, and that would have been when early 90s or something. And they set up a showcase, and all of a sudden there's all these record companies showing up at our little gig, and we're just playing the blues. We don't know what to do, Next thing you know, some kind of a bidding war. Well, I wasn't really set up for this. I didn't know what was going on. And it was difficult at the time because, I'd worked with Frank, who was booking us shows. And Frank's a real character. You ask anyone in the music business, Frank's a character. But next thing you know, I've got the Sam Feldman agency sending the two Steves over. We call them the two Steves. And they want to be my exclusive agent, but I'd have to get rid of Frank. Big decision to make, but it seemed like the right one to do. So I had to go break up with Frank one day over a bottle of Chivas Regal. And now we've got this highfalutin Toronto management. Well, they, of course, you got to come out to Toronto. Well, we're all BC boys. We're a little reluctant. So it just started from there. All of a sudden, it came from, I won't say it was just like a hobby or anything. We were all very serious about the music we played, but all of a sudden, big-time people were interested in what we wanted to do, and it got serious.
How much money did you make on that Commodore gig, by the way?
Well, it was a low-dose show, as it was advertised. I think we did all right. I mean, I think an official sellout at the Commodore is 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So we must have done all right. But, I mean, Mark Norman, it was kind of like, it was his kind of little, he wanted to see if he could pull it off. Yeah. I think it was a challenge to him as a promoter. And we did it. So I don't remember the numbers. I just remember just being absolutely elated that we could do that, and we're trying to play. I mean, it's such an awesome room to play. I've been lucky to play on that stage many times, and but every time I've ever played there, except that one show, was opening for someone, whether it was Albert Collins or the Beat Farmers or Johnny Winter or George Thorogood. But to do it on your own, and you realize there's no one on after us. We got to deliver the goods. That was the crazy part of it.
So you came off that and you decided, I better write some songs if I want to get an album done. And what occurred after that?
Well, then it was kind of tough because the fellows I was playing with were all good chums and that, but no one really seemed to want to get together and write songs. So I started thinking, well, I'll do it, And it was difficult at first. But then I kind of realized I had to take the bull by the horns with the whole project. And at one point, I decided, that and this is just my opinion. I'm sure the boys in the band have a different opinion, but I thought, I kind of have to put the focus on me. If I'm going to be the guy, kind of steering the ship here and starting to write the songs. So instead of being called the Persuaders, one day I decided to call it David Gogo and the Persuaders. And that didn't necessarily float everyone's boat in the organization. But I just felt it was something I had to do. And at one point, so we get wined and dined by some record companies. I decided to go with, they were still called Capitol Records at the time. They eventually became EMI Music Canada. But I just went, the Beatles. The Beatles are on Capitol. I'm going to sign with Capitol Records. And I always dreamed of having the vinyl with that rainbow logo, and see my name. Unfortunately, before my first album came out, they had switched from Capitol to EMI and then didn't print vinyl anymore. But I started writing with different people wherever I could. So we signed the deal I signed a deal. It wasn't the band. I signed a deal, and I tried to keep the band in with me. And they said, "Well, we'll see. We're signing you. We're not signing the Persuaders." So it was that really difficult decision I had to make, where it's like, well, what do I do? Are these boys with me, or are they holding me back? I don't know what's going on. So I phoned a couple of people I knew in the business, because it's before emails, and asked their advice. And one friend of mine in Edmonton told me, she said, I've seen this happen to other artists. And if you try to, stay with the buddies and it doesn't happen, you're going to blame them for the rest of your career. You're going to say, I tried it, you guys held me down. I could have done this and done that. I could have soared like an eagle. I mean, at the end of the day, I only made one record with EMI, so it kind of didn't really matter. But it came down to that difficult thing. So I signed a management deal with the Management Trust, which was Alan Gregg and Jake Gold. And that was one of the first meetings we had. Was Jake and I had to sit down with the guys in my band in a hotel room in Vancouver and basically tell them that their services were no longer required. And once again, mixed emotions in the room.